What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday morning. Welcome into our latest TDR Traded Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Dale. Today's podcast, as usual, presented by Dutchie. You got a good little podcast here this morning. Two major executives from Organigram going to come on and talk about a new brand they just launched called Happly. We've seen beverages and edibles explode across the U.S., more than just dispensaries. These are now in grocery aisles. So we'll talk about them, about their new brand and what they think this industry is headed towards. Plus, Jed Green, he's the director of ORCA, which is Oklahoma. I forget how it's pronounced. It's Oklahoma something about cannabis. My apologies about what it stands for. But he's coming on to talk about the landscape at Oklahoma and how we got to the situation that where we are right now. We've been teeing this up for the last couple of days and how lawmakers in some ways created this wild, wild west. He's got some incredible stories that you're not going to want to miss. And some of this stuff is actually going to blow your mind away. So we'll get a more detailed understanding of actually what's really going on in Oklahoma right now. So lots to get into, and let's welcome in AV and Oklahoma ORCA.
Oklahomans for responsible cannabis access.
Correct.
Yeah.
Did a brain cramp there. But yeah, it's we talked to him a little bit yesterday, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation we'll have with him. But there's a lot of stuff that really opened up our eyes as to what's really going on in that state, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting. If you saw the Steve Robinson and Sean Ryan podcast that came out yesterday, it's just going to dovetail even more into the illegal activity. I mean, they're literally labeling THCP as Chinese bioweapons that are being sold to Americans at gas stations.
Wow.
It was a pretty overt and I think intense angle to take. But if you want to kind of dovetail into the Trump administration's crackdown on TCOs, Chinese cartels, and just the illicit trade that's going on not only in cannabis but in synthetic cannabinoids.
Yeah.
It was a very eye-opening, powerful piece that I hope gets up to the brass at the DOJ, and hopefully someone from the Trump family sees it and it really starts to give us momentum getting towards a rescheduling announcement and really getting sensible cannabis regulation. Because if you create a parity between hemp and marijuana, and actually legitimize the industry to an extent, you would stamp out this illegal synthetic nonsense very, very quickly.
85 million pounds of cannabis missing is the title here this morning. And where is it?
Which is fake. So we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But,
looks like we're happily here this morning on a TDR Traded Black podcast. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's welcome in, obviously, the Senior Vice President of Corporate Strategy and International Growth, Megan McCrae. First time to the podcast. Good to see you and good to meet you. I know we've talked a lot over the years, but it's first time to the podcast. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. It's also welcome in SVP Innovation and International Research and Development, Borna Zlamalik. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Did I get it?
That's perfect. Thanks for having us.
I passed. How's everybody this morning? Are we happily? Because I got some interesting news that you guys announced. Megan, how's
We're very happy.
Oh, that's
broadcast. It's a project that has been in the works for more than a year now, and we're finally launching, and we're live in the US, and we are super excited about it.
Yeah, I bet. Well, we've talked about this. Anthony and I have definitely brought this up a number of times in the podcast, but the hemp-derived THC space, we know it's growing faster than almost any other segment of the cannabis market right now. Happily seems targeted at that new consumer, who wants to control with functionality, not just potency. So Megan, tell us a little bit about the brand and really why you're excited. More importantly, just when you look at the overall scale of this industry, we talk about how this could be the future of the growth of cannabis and how this is really starting to get into more and more of the mainstream. We saw news with another company, Cannabis, with the, what's it stand for again, Anthony, the American Wine Spirit?
WSWA.
Yeah, which is
Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America.
But we're seeing like alcohol is dropping off like a cliff, and younger generations are definitely consuming more cannabis and hence THC beverages. So talk about the brand and really why this approach makes sense now.
For sure. I mean, the journey, as I mentioned, started a couple of years ago. We really knew that the hemp-derived Delta-9 space in the US was really taking off. And we went through a very rigorous and extensive process to actually research the market, the consumer, the trends, and try to understand really what the US cannabis and hemp-derived market looked like. And what we uncovered was that there was this really growing niche of consumers who we dubbed recreation, who were looking for specific functional benefits out of cannabinoid use. And really, it's not about using it to get high. It's not about using it to get completely zoned out, but nor was it really about any kind of medicinal benefit. It was really those who were seeking to socialize, to relax, to unwind, to focus. And so we unpacked a ton of market research. We researched the consumer, the market size, the benefits, and then we went into development of like what could we actually position this brand to look like, and how do we reach this consumer. And what really captures the essence of who this person is exactly the person who's looking to replace something like alcohol use with a cannabis product. But the biggest thing that differentiates this consumer from a lot of the other cannabis consumers is that they're really looking for a degree of control and moderation, and they want to feel something, but they don't want to feel like they're out of control. So that's the biggest thing that we really unpacked with this consumer. That was an interesting insight.
Yes.
And so we went through the whole process of designing, really understanding the consumer, designing a brand that was relevant to them, a positioning that was relative to them. And then we took that all the way through to what the actual product design looked like, and ensured that the products were very specifically formulated to target those different mindful recreation needs that consumer base was looking for. And that's where Borna's team of developers really worked on honing in really precise formulations that are anchored in science to deliver that experience that particular consumer was looking for. So we're extremely excited. The feedback so far for those who've tried the gummies has been extremely positive, and that they really work as they're supposed to work. So it's really not just another THC gummy. It's something that's really unique and different. So for example, the sleep gummy has 10 milligrams of CBD. It has CBN in it. It has chamomile extract. So what's also new is that we have functional ingredients in these gummies, not only cannabinoid. So we have functional ingredients paired with cannabinoids, and we've also brought in our FAST technology, which is the clinically validated nanotechnology that we developed in collaboration with our product development collaboration. So we have a sleep gummy, a Socialize gummy that has THC and caffeine in it, and then our Relax gummy has L-theanine, THC, and THC in it as well. So they're great. The packaging design looks incredible. It's super slick, looks like a cell phone.
The consumer here on the far right, I think he's got some pretty positive feedback, right, Anthony? Didn't you get some of that stuff?
Yeah, they're good. They're good. I've tried all three formulations. My mother-in-law actually now wants to buy more of the sleep formulation. She's not a cannabis consumer by any means. She's not using it to get high. She said it was one of the best nights of sleep she's had in a while. And I'm assuming it's attributable to the CBN and CBD in the formulations. One question I did have, and I've seen THCV used in a lot of the uplifting formulations. Is that going to come in like further iterations, or was there a reason, like in the research, that you didn't add THCV in the in that formulation this time around?
That's a fantastic question. I mean, the current scope of the products that we just launched is basically just the right amount of sleep, like your mother-in-law, the right amount of socialize and relax. But we are actually also developing a focus gummy as well, which is going to have THCV. We actually have a very long-standing relationship with Phylos Biosciences, where we have an exclusive THCV plant. And so THCV is something that we've been really pushing forward on a number of different SKUs, blends, etc. And on Happly especially, it's going to be a really great focus style gummy. THCV is a really interesting cannabinoid, and that's going to be the next set of mood states that comes out with this brand.
Okay. And do you foresee higher dosages in THC for different consumer profiles, or is this product mainly supposed to be, I don't want to call it a microdose, but like not intoxicating, because 2.5 milligrams is not going to become intoxicating to the average person.
Yeah. You know what? 2.5 milligrams in a single gummy, you're right, is a low dose. And that's what the Happly brand is really all about. It's about just the right amount of that mood state. But the great thing is that our tins have 20 gummies in there. And so you can actually stack them. Right. And so for somebody like me, who's a bigger guy, who has, day-to-day consumption of cannabinoids, and who's really kind of made cannabis like a part of the daily lifestyle, being able to take one or maybe even two gummies is a really great way of incorporating that. Right. Okay. So we're letting the consumer kind of like start slow, low, but slowly build up to that. And over time, I think there'll probably be a broader range of intensities in the gummies.
Okay.
And the other thing I'd add is, because we're using the fast nanotechnology, a 2.5 milligram actually hits closer to a 5. So for a newer user, it's actually a really good experience. And I'm somebody who's I don't consume a ton of cannabis, but I'm certainly into it for gummies before bedtime and a cannabis beverage, like Collective Project before bed and something like that. And for me, a 2.5 milligram with fast in it is the perfect amount to make me feel a little bit of something, like a glass of wine, but not too far that I feel out of control. And that's really what this consumer is looking for. So we're really excited about the formulation. And and like Borna said, you can continue once one gummy is maybe not enough for you to feel what you want to feel for the right amount. You can just dose up or dose down.
The onset's pretty quick. And I mean, I can definitely attest to that fact that all three formulations behave differently. So you can tell, unlike some products that I've tried where there's congruency between them, you can tell the difference between all three formulations and their effects. Yeah.
This is the big differentiator, right? Because we undertook probably one of the largest clinical studies done in the recreational space on gummies. And so our fast technology that we built in collaboration with BAT, with the product development collaboration, is actually a 19-day in-clinic study. And so the idea there is that we wanted to create a product that is predictable. The biggest pain point in the cannabis category is predictability.
That's it. That's all of it, right?
That's it. And this is what this clinical study did. So all of our gummies have roughly 18 to 20 minute onset. They have a predictable duration, and they have close to double the bioavailability, which means you're actually using the cannabinoids you're purchasing, right?
Well, options is everything, right? A lot of people and a lot of companies in this space focus on high potency. And if you're new to it, that can probably, be a little much at times and turn clients off. But when you talk about this, we've talked to actually other companies and say innovation right now, in the industry, a lot of companies are cash strapped and they don't focus as much on this right now. But what does this say, I guess, with the approach that you're taking right now with the whole idea of having options and innovation and really giving what consumers want? Because that, I think people need to really understand as to what's going on, not only with you guys, but the industry right now, which is why many companies, Megan, are focusing on high potency at this time.
Yeah. I think from an R&D and innovation investment perspective, we've invested close to $90 million into R&D since the inception of the company. And
90 million, wow.
90 million, right. And so we believe in long-term viability of the category. And the only way you can do that is if you develop and launch innovations that are underpinned by science. That's how we ensure that long-term, we're doing the right thing for consumers, both on the flower side as well as on the gummy, the beverages side with Happly, Collective Project, our entire portfolio.
Yeah, it's great. Well, the great thing about the, I guess, how this industry is evolving is you don't have to go in dispensaries anymore. So for all of our viewers and you're 21 and older, go to gethappily.com right now and use the code TDR20 for 20% off right now. So anybody watching this right now, you can gladly get 20% off based off of the promo code that we were given by the Organigram Global team. So much appreciated with all that. So next up, I wanted to ask you, Megan, there's a cultural shift that's really happening, and all adult use, as I said, is going way down, and people are looking for ways to unwind minus the hangover. So what consumer data or insights, I guess, guided a lot of the development here?
I'd say, it's really about the seeking of control, predictability, lower dose, and non-combustible formats. I think what we're seeing is those who are looking to shift away, and those who are away from alcohol that don't necessarily want to be consuming regular cannabis products like vapes and combustibles and flower and pre-rolls are really driving towards the beverages and gummies and the Delta-9 space. So that's the main thing that they're looking for. They don't want to be consuming the traditional product, and a lot of the insights that we're seeing around beverages and gummies, especially around beverages, actually, is really the ritual. So it's like the ritual of opening a beverage, maybe pouring it in a glass with some ice and enjoying it that way. So it marries up to the occasion a lot better than what they would otherwise be seeing. And if you look at something like a sleep gummy, a lot of people are used to taking a melatonin gummy to go to bed or taking maybe a sleeping pill or something like that. So it's actually aligned to that ritual as well. So what we're trying to do with the product is marry not only the formulations, but the ritual that the consumers are looking for.
Makes sense. Go ahead if you wanted to ask something, Anthony. Where are you?
I'm good on my end. Like I said, I'm a brand evangelist for the product. I've tried them firsthand. And it's definitely a product that I would stand by in terms of form factor and function. And the branding's great too. I like that the packaging is child resistant from the jump, and it's inherent in the package, and it's a nice tin. I'm a big fan of the metal tins for branding.
That's the key. It's about being responsible. It's about having products that have and deliver what they're meant to deliver for the consumer, right?
We really feel
as far as the strategy goes, are you staying mostly DTC, e-com in the US, or do you plan on, is there brick and mortar as well?
No, it's a great question. We are starting with D2C because we're seeing a lot of success with gummies in the D2C channel. And the supply chain is a little bit more complicated with gummies in terms of how they go to market. Whereas when you look at beverages, they tend to just fold into the 3-tier system like bev alcohol. And then gummies, it's a lot more open. So it's a bit more of a complicated supply chain. And then on D2C, it's where a lot of the brands that are working well get started, because we can really just control the consumer experience and the and get awareness levels high and get consumers into the funnel. But the plan is at some point in the summer that we will be launching into the retail channel. So we'll start by piloting with a few chains in the coming months, and then we'll expand that out to broader distribution along with the launch of our beverage line as well.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer DTC, to be honest. I mean, the fact that I don't have to go to a dispensary, I just set it and forget it. It comes to my house, shows up at my door, and it's efficient is the best part of. It's the best part of the hemp-derived products. It's just the ease.
So how does this collaboration work with BAT? Because this is a British, stands for British American Tobacco, which a lot of people are familiar with, in your story. But you see more and more tobacco companies that are definitely trying to evolve. They have to. Let's face it. When's the last time you saw a 25-year-old buy a pack of cigarettes? But what's conversations, I guess, that you have with them that based on how to put this collaboration all together, Borna?
Yeah, absolutely. So we launched this collaboration back in 2021, and the idea was that we would work together to learn about the cannabis category, learn about safety and long-term safety, most importantly about cannabinoids, as well as develop upstream technologies in the cannabinoid space. I think the key here is we have close to 40 scientists, developers, innovators that work together to put together products across a number of different form factors, non-combustible form factors, so gummies and beverages. And these innovations are then turned over or transferred to Organigram, which is in charge of commercialization and brand development and really selling the product into the market. And so we're able to leverage some of the things that we've collaborated on in that product development collaboration. And Happly is really the first in-market result of that, or let's say the first large-scale in-market result of that.
It's good. It's funny how you see a lot of these companies that have to evolve right now, and you talk about how much change is here. I was actually consuming some information last night, and there was 3 100-year-old whiskey companies out of Kentucky that filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And one of the main reasons, yes, was the tariffs that are going on right now between Canada and the U.S. I think a lot of people don't understand the LCBO in Ontario is the largest alcohol purchaser in the world. So that has an effect. But the other issue, again, Megan, is just about how younger people are they're consuming weed and edibles. But it's a real eye opener that people, like, how fast do you see this industry actually getting more and more into the mainstream over the next 1 to 2 years?
I think in the US, in particular, because of the channels that it's in, I could see explosive growth. And I've seen the data, unfortunately, is still really spotty when it comes to this category. But I've seen estimates as high as like $25 million to $35 million. So like you're talking massive, massive growth here. And then what's interesting is as the Delta 9 category continues to grow, people are becoming more comfortable with it. It's getting listed in more chains. So we know that chains like Circle K and Publix and Walgreens, and there's a number of different like large chains in the US who are either bringing in the product, piloting the product, or contemplating bringing it in that we're already in discussions with, which is fascinating. So the more this product is available in mainstream channels as it is right now, the more that's going to accelerate the growth, because consumers who are not traditional cannabis beverage or cannabis consumers are not going into dispensaries. And that's why this market is seeing such growth in the US. It's obviously these Delta 9 products are sold alongside alcohol or, other products in gas stations and convenience stores. So it becomes part of their normal shopping habits. It's not like they're going to make a special stop at a dispensary to buy a product. So that's going to be the huge unlock. It's already unlocked in the US and it's going to continue to grow. And if you look at the Canadian side of the business, just to bring it back to where we are, I think that's something that if you apply these kind of sensible regulations to like the beverage category, the edibles category in Canada, you'll see that same kind of growth. And I think that's what's going to help to normalize it. And I can really see a place where governments tackle cannabis beverages actually more like alcohol over time, because there's no reason there's no reason that a cannabis beverage shouldn't be sold alongside a can of White Claw, as an example. So I think that this kind of shift in regulation that's just sensible and logical is actually going to be what further unlocks the category, and those conversations are already happening, with regulators. So I think it's a matter of when and not a matter of if that happens.
I completely agree.
And then if you look at markets internationally, which is really where we're focusing our efforts, as well as Organigram, the life cycle of the product categories and the evolution is really following what we saw in Canada. So you can just imagine a world where in a few years from now, we'll be selling these beverages in Australia and Germany and the UK as well, once their market catches up to where ours is. And they're really following a similar curve. They're very flower focused markets right now internationally, but non-combustible product categories like edibles and vapes are really growing and taking off and taking a bigger piece of the pie. And you can imagine that these types of products are actually just going to fall in behind, and experience the similar curve that we did here in Canada as consumers get comfortable with the category. But people are not looking to consume alcohol rates are declining significantly. Huge. People don't want the hangovers, the calories, the grogginess, the health impacts. So where you replace, a beverage or a gummy for an alcohol product, I think consumers are getting more and more used to it and more happy with that alternative. And frankly, people still want to feel a little something. Otherwise this category wouldn't be where it is, I think.
Yeah. 20
years ago, people said, Shad, you're crazy to think newspapers are going to go away. Well, they're gone away. Mainstream media is shrinking, and you can give a comparison because, people just sit here and say, what happens to the alcohol industry? Look, it's always going to be around, but the size of it on a global scale, especially in North America, is changing drastically. And when these 25-year-olds are 45, and then all of a sudden you have a new generation, they're going to grow up at what was normal to them in their household and what they saw. Because, my generation parents, it was all built on alcohol and, let's face it, smoking cigarettes. You saw ads everywhere. But saying all that, I think as we evolve, a lot of these advertising restrictions, let's hope they get lifted at some point here. But the direct-to-consumer online approach is a smart one. So how do you guys draw, awareness when traditional ad platforms are still, limiting cannabis content outside of us here at Trade Black?
I was about to say.
It's a great question. And in the US, it's actually a lot more open. We're able to advertise on the Meta platform. You have to just be a little bit careful of how you name things and make it clear that it's hemp and it's not cannabis derived and things like that. But we're actually advertising on Meta's platforms as well as other platforms outside of Meta. So obviously paid media is a big push of ours to drive traffic into the website. We've had a lot of success with email marketing campaigns. So we have actually higher than industry benchmark success rates in terms of email conversion when we actually capture a consumer's email via a social platform or another email type of campaign. And where we're also seeing successes in influencer partnerships as well. And so these are all things that are a little bit more difficult to run with in Canada, but in the US, it's still relatively open. Which really makes our jobs a lot easier as far as digital marketing goes. And the other great thing is that if you've had a chance to look at the website, you can actually really highlight the lifestyle elements of this brand in the US market, where we can't really do that openly in Canada. So it just makes it that much easier for us to be able to market the brand and be clear who this brand is for. And it's not a brand for everybody, but it's a brand for a lot of people that I think a lot of other players in the cannabis and hemp space are largely not focusing on. So we're really excited about that opportunity, and we really think it's where the category is going and where the growth is coming from as well.
Indeed. And if you want to learn more, go to gethapply.com and use the promo code TDR20 to get 20% off. How's that for a good little segue?
Love it.
Listen, Borna, Megan mentioned earlier about the nanotechnology, which I'm just reading this. It allows faster absorption and a more consistent onset compared to standard edibles. Can you let us know or explain to us a little bit further as to how that technology works?
Yeah, absolutely. So emulsions are nothing new, right? Emulsions are used in every type of food category. What our fast emulsion does is it takes the particle size of the cannabinoids to a very small size. So if you imagine that your liver is like a tennis net, if you take a tennis ball and try to toss a tennis ball against the net, it's not going to go through. But if you shrink those cannabinoids into little marbles and you take a fistful of marbles and you toss it through that net, it goes through your liver. And so the fast nanoemulsion effectively uses proprietary equipment and processes to make those cannabinoids very small and therefore very effective. And effectively, in this particular product, we're getting 20-minute onset, predictable every single time, a predictable duration, which is really great. And then a part of our overall strategy is to continue developing these mood states, to continue developing different types of feelings and occasions for consumers powered by fast. So fast is really kind of going to be the base of a lot of the innovation that we're going to be pushing through, both on the gummy as well as on the beverage side.
What are some of the challenges? Maybe it's a question for all of you to, Anthony, I know you're a lot up to speed when it comes to a lot of this stuff, but to like create that technology, like what are some of the challenges the industry has faced?
I think like from our side, the biggest piece is the regulatory hurdles, right? To be able to have a claim on pack, you have to have clinical research. It has to be IRB, so an independent review board cleared clinical research. It takes a lot of money, a lot of resources to do that. We're very fortunate that we have the right business fundamentals and the right business partnerships to be able to invest in such research. But we've invested close to $5 million in developing this particular product. And that's not something that every company has the ability to do. So I would say that, a lot of the innovation in the cannabis space, much like pharma, is hampered by the regulatory requirements. But, companies like ours who think long term have the kind of foresight to invest in these types of initiatives.
So product available direct to consumer, online, anywhere in the US, you can have this shipped to your place, correct? That's great.
Certain states in the US.
There's not anywhere in the US.
Mother-in-law for the right amount of sleep.
Yeah.
I think it's like 40 states you can ship to.
40?
It might be 40, 42, somewhere around there, but it's not the full contiguous.
It's not the full. Yeah, there's the hemp products are banned in some states, and then certain ingredients are banned in some. In Florida, you can't use coloring, so that doesn't allow this product to live, unfortunately, at this time. But there's some states that have regulations that don't allow it, but it's a good handful.
Well, that's still a lot, but I stand corrected. Yeah. One last thing I wanted to bring up, because I also talked about beverages at the top, edibles obviously being one, but your collective project, how is that performing right now, Megan?
It's doing well. We actually, we launched back. Well, we bought them in the end of March of this year. So we've been doing a good job of getting listed in different key accounts. Our velocity and depletions at retail continue to grow. The feedback we've received on the liquid itself has been tremendous, and consumers and retailers are really enjoying the juice. So we've carved out a really good niche within that segment of Delta 9 beverages. With a product that's really unique. So it's continuing to do well. We have listings in Total Wines and top 10 liquors, and we're continuing to be in active conversations with a lot of different retailers and online platforms as well. So we're really enthusiastic and bullish about that product in the US as well.
All right.
How hard is that space right now? Because I'm almost seeing new brands hit me every single day on Instagram. I mean, you go into ABC Liquors. Yeah. You go into ABC Liquors and Total Wine, and it's just a wall of product that all are just, I don't want to say the same flavors, but congruent flavors. It's just a wall of shit, just to be completely over it at this point. Like, how hard is that form factor right now to market? And is it a function of being able to win the consumer and then keep sticky consumers that just keep rebuying? What goes into the sauce right now with marketing those beverages?
100%. It's a great question. I think a year ago, if you pretty much had a THC Delta 9 beverage, you could probably get listed quite easily. Yeah. I think the latest estimate I read in the latest Whitney Economics report is that there's 700 to 900 Delta 9 THC brands.
Wow.
So this is becoming very saturated, because anyone with a product idea and a connection with a microbrew with extra capacity can pretty much launch one of these beverages. So it's becoming a lot more. It's becoming a lot more aligned to launching a product in a crowded category. You really have to come to the table to these accounts with a product that's not only differentiated, but that you have a solid, budget and marketing and CPG approach behind it to drive it.
Yeah.
So it's really about what are the discounts? What's the trade marketing program? Are you getting on end caps? Are you getting listed in the right key accounts? And fortunately, we're a large company with a group of CPG professionals, so we are comfortable and we know how to operate in this space. So those will be the companies that win. And of course, when you have a great tasting product and beautiful packaging and a great story. That's the sort of the secret sauce that I'd say will make it work. But it's highly competitive, and it's really not as easy as just launching anything now. I've tried some of the products too, and
it is. I mean, I was at
terrible products out there, but there's some good stuff as well. So we're excited about the niche that we're playing.
I mean, it is. I was at a party where the people that I was talking to didn't know what I did for a living, and they were talking just out of the blue about how it's so profitable. They're launching and building canning lines to start to produce these beverages. And I was like, guys, why don't you take a step back? When enterprise level people come into this industry, they're going to steamroll all of you almost overnight, because the big boys are going to have scale and efficient models to where you're never going to compete on price. And I was like, this seems like it's getting bubbly at this point, when people are just on a whim deploying infrastructure to start to meet demand.
Borna, we always talk about, first to market is obviously kind of like that advantage, so to speak, but are there challenges? Because as Megan said, being first to market, you look at concepts like Shred, Edison Jolts, now Happily. Are there challenges of becoming out first? Because you're, as Megan just said, there's 700 to 800 brands now in this category in the last year. That's a lot.
Yeah, you know what? As a business, over the last 4 years, we've really intensified how many products we can launch in an agile way by following science, right? And so across Canada, as well as US, Australia, we're launching close to 140 to 150 products a year. And so it is challenging, but I think this is where innovation comes in. And in some cases, we try to be first in market in key categories. In other cases where we're not the first in market, and we're talking about Happily, we're talking about these amazingly big planograms in the US already. I think this is where differentiation, leveraging our 200 plus expert panel to really dial in those flavors, creating flavors that are alcohol adjacent and mature and get rid of all of that bitterness that some of the smaller players have. That's how we try to differentiate in crowded categories. So it is about being first in market when you can, but when you can't, it's really about leveraging the amazing amount of experience to really create quality products, right?
$90 million of research.
$90 million.
I can say the product is quality, because when I got them, I opened it and I immediately went to Max and I was like, these are great. Like, they look, feel, everything is, without even trying the product first. I was like, everything is above board.
Hold that product up again if one of you have it.
So this is the Socialize.
That's cool.
And Relax. And then it's got the, there we go. You can see it has our Fast Technology logo on the back, and that's the Sleep SKU, which also comes in a 60 count.
Okay.
And then the gummies are little square.
And there's a nice gummy left out of the package, so you can easily get them out.
Get your finger in.
Exactly.
Which is a good touch.
Well, look,
and we like I think it's funny, to the point of being not first to market, but doing it right. We could have probably been in market several months sooner, but we wanted to make sure that we got everything absolutely perfect when we designed the product, because we knew we had to be perfect if we were going to be stepping out, not as a first to market player in this space. So everything from the packaging design, the product design, the formulations themselves, the flavors, like we made sure that we did everything right and didn't cut corners just to save a few months here and there in our launch dates, and made sure that we launched the product that was absolutely perfect without any corners cut. So we're really thrilled about it, and happy to hear the positive feedback as well.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do better, you got to think better. If you want to think better, you need your sleep. So if you want to learn more, go to gethappily.com and use TDR20 as the promo code to get 20% off here today. This has been great, and we should do more of this. And awesome. And Tella, obviously the team. Is Bina still, is she still around, or is she officially retired now?
She's still around. So the search continues for our next fearless leader. And in the meantime, she's still head of the ship.
Yeah, well, great CEO, really nice person. Had lots of conversations with her in person, but tell her we say hi. And more importantly, good catching up with you, Borna, and you, Megan. And hopefully we'll see you out in Vegas at MJ Biz this year.
Sounds good. See you there.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for checking in here today. It's been great. Quick reminder again to everybody, gethappily.com. Use the promo code TDR20 if you can bring that up real quick, Arns. But that will get you 20% off for anybody listening right now to the live stream. So make sure, go to that promo code entered into that site, and you get 20% off. And go from there. Let us know your feedback too, and also make sure that you're 21 and older if you're doing this. All right. I think we're ready to move on to our next portion of the podcast. I'm not sure if Jed is here or not in the background. Is he not here? Did we send him? I'm pretty sure I sent him the invite. Copied. Send that over. Anyway, before we bring him in, I know there was a tweet that I put out this morning, and I was thinking, interesting that Donald Trump, the White House, put out his daily schedule, and I was like, let's keep our eyes at least interested on this 5 o'clock press conference. But I didn't want to let people know I have no idea what it's about, but we got our confirmation. It's about, isn't it about drugs and pharma at 5 o'clock, if I'm correct? That's what I saw, CBS reporter.
Yep.
So anyway, I don't want people thinking I know something or implying something, but as I clearly stated,
and Mohammed, the market's not crashing. Tilray was up 40% yesterday. It's down 15% at $1.77. That's not crashing. If anything, I would say it's presenting an opportunity.
All right, just send him the link, and we'll wait patiently and see what we're doing here. But just for everybody that's out there, you can check us out under our TDR Plus membership wall. We had Erwin Simon on yesterday. I had a really good conversation with him, but he seems very, very happy with the amount of time and effort and how everything over the last 5 years is really starting to come together, that they were a $50 million company. And now look at some of the numbers that they produced in their latest Q1 2026 earnings. So they've come a long way, but it's been a lot of moving parts. It's not just the Canadian market in cannabis anymore. There's opportunities, obviously, in Europe, opportunities in the US, and he shared a lot of that stuff. He even was great to share us. We asked him a couple questions about who his mentor was growing up and how he learned a lot of the stuff that he has been able to learn today. So he had some interesting feedback based on the conversations that we had with him yesterday. But man, oh man, I stumbled across Dan Aaron's interview with Yahoo Finance. Always insightful, Pat Schwartz. Was that this week, Pat? Was he on Yahoo Finance? Let us know. Still waiting. Sorry about the delay here, everyone. Anything you want to add?
I'm adjusting my portfolio real quick. The market's getting kicked in the nuts right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cannabis down quite a bit?
Everything's down. The NASDAQ's down like 550 points.
Wow.
Oklahoma's going to be nice to talk about, though.
I know. Let's bring in Guap for a second. See how he's doing. No, he says no. No.
You just put him on the spot.
What's up, buddy?
Hello. Yes, the Qs NASDAQ are down 2%. Trump put out a Truth Social, and it looks like he wrote it because it doesn't have paragraphs.
Nice.
I can
no punctuation, no nothing.
No, he's got plenty of punctuation in the wrong places, but yeah, it's
he's quite wordsmith.
China tariffs makes the market tumble, but let's remember that SPY is up 9x. The S&P's up 9x since the 2009 crash. So letting a little air out of the tires isn't such a bad idea.
Huh?
No, it's not at all.
But yes, in turn, it does have an effect on cannabis stocks in our little pond. But I wouldn't read into this as some sort of sector-specific news when everything in the market is red.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking forward to this Oklahoma conversation too. You got me really stoked on it when we had the Irwin interview yesterday.
China rare earth tweet. Yes, I actually own USAR, which is probably going to be the rare earth company that gets nationalized by the U.S. government. So that is up right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I just sent him actually the link again. So we're just waiting for Jed Green, president.
Yeah, I put it in the chat, but I was hoping Happily would send me my first pack of gummies because I'm a righteous dude. And I'm excited to try them, especially the Focus one that they said they're coming out with next. I know it feels like we're really pumping them hard, but I am into these formulations with an effect as the goal. And so
they're good.
Yeah.
All right. I just got a text. He's about to jump on. He was just getting off a call with Marijuana Moment with Mr. Tom Angel.
Oh.
Oof. Make sure you give him attribution. What you just said. Yeah.
The last few videos he has, and I've noticed.
It's weird if you don't.
Let's not go there. I guess we just did.
I just did.
Listen,
I love you, Tom.
Tom does great work. Does very good work. And
said that several times.
Yes.
I've been in this space 10 plus years. Some of y'all would be making me crazy too.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, just entering the studio in now. How's everyone feeling? Leave your comments below. Let's keep this conversation going, as I always say.
Who's Nick down there?
Shad, why can't
I was wondering
we get happy in Canada? Damned Carney. Yeah, I hear you, Jake. And I'm not going to lie. I don't know if you saw some of this news that happened yesterday. And let me read this to you. And this is wild. Absolutely wild. This is what the nature of our country is in right now. 51-year-old Kenneth Pollan of North Bay has been sentenced to 9 months in jail after sharing anti-Semitic content on social media. He's the first person in Canada to be jailed for denying. I'm not. What I'm saying.
Let's not go into any of that.
I don't want to go into details with that. But what I'm saying is,
detail.
I don't want to go into details about specifically what he's spewing about. But what I'm trying to say is that the government is not screwing around. And as far as hate speech on social media, it's like we are entering different times in Canada right now.
Jed's here.
Jed is here.
Let's talk Oklahoma.
Let's get into Oklahoma. All right, let's welcome in the president of Oklahoma Responsible Cannabis Action, Jed Green, to the podcast. Good to see you. How are you, sir? Can you hear me? Oh, I think you're on mute, my friend. Just got to turn on your settings. Let me know if you're free. Yeah, I hear you, Jake. It's wild. But I don't see that excise tax for cannabis going away anytime soon. Plus, I have spoken to a few representatives that work within the Premier Ontario, Doug Ford, his office, and some of the feedback I've heard from them is saying that they've met with Prime Minister Carney a number of times, and whatever he's promised, or at least said he was going to deliver on 3 separate times, he hasn't. So you can see there's some angst going on amongst political leaders. Jed, you there now?
He's got some similarities with Trump.
Yeah. So plus you add in the Premier of Alberta, and obviously their main resource being oil, and it appears he's turning his back on that. And I've always said this question about all these warrants that he has at Brookfield. When he became a public figure, he should have had to exercise those. But in a lot of ways, the Liberal government is privatized a lot of this EV battery lending for green energy, and that's where he's focusing a lot on right now. And it's a conflict of interest, I think.
Do we have sound, Jed?
Still not there? 1 second. Go to settings. Go to settings, Jed. Click on audio, and then under mic.
Check.
There you are. Good stuff.
There we go.
You good?
Is that
Can
it?
you hear us, Jed?
All right, we got there. Sorry about
All
that,
right,
guys.
here we go. All right.
No problem.
Yes,
Welcome
sir.
in. How are things?
Doing a lot better than my ability to get the microphone turned on. I'll tell you
Well,
that.
that's good. That's good. Listen, we want to start from the top because a lot of people outside of Oklahoma might not really know the history that's involved here in this state. So let's start things off. Back in 2018, voters passed something that was called State Question 788. That was the ballot initiative that legalized medical marijuana, and it surprised almost everyone by passing in a lot of ways at a huge margin. So you've said before, after it passed, lawmakers from both parties actually came together to form a working group to build proper regulations. But then, as we know, a lot of things stalled, and that's why people call this now the Wild Wild West. So what exactly was State Question 788, and how did things get so wrong after it passed?
So, State Question 788 was a citizen initiative that placed medical marijuana onto the ballot for a vote here in Oklahoma. Ultimately, that ballot measure was passed, and it created our medical marijuana program here in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is one of 25 or 26 states that citizens have the ability to pass a ballot initiative or create a law for themselves.
Okay. So
and so that was done. I was just going to say, one thing that the writers of 788 wanted to avoid was a delayed implementation of the program. And so the program was set to implement in 60 days from passage. The election was actually held in June, which was outside of the regular legislative process. That was a choice by our governor at the time. And so 788 was then set to go into effect in early September. So this was a very, very quick timeline that the state had 60 days from passage to begin letting out licenses. And they had 2 weeks to grant a license once that license was applied for.
So you mentioned that Oklahoma's problems weren't just about the number of licenses issued, but about who is approving them and why. So you've said certain law firms filed hundreds of applications tied to the same email addresses, and that some politically connected players made millions from this. So how did that system work? And really, in a lot of ways, like, how deep does this problem really go here?
Well, to kind of get to that, which, we passed this in 2018. And so to, bridge up to that would be to say that post passage, industry groups got together with our House and our Senate. We proposed additional regulatory structure. The governor at the time had said that she would be calling a special session to add more to what was in 788. It was a 5-page statute, obviously not enough to regulate a medical marijuana program. The House was ready, the Senate was ready, other stakeholders worked with us, and we were ready to go. However, the governor reneged on that, did not call a special session, and allowed implementation. So things got off kind of quickly, but slowly. And the work that was done in the fall, the first bicameral bipartisan working group in state history, was brought together by the House and Senate to work with us and create this regulatory structure, which was about a 200-page bill. And so, again, that wasn't adopted until the following year in roughly March of 2019. And then it was a much reduced version of the original proposal. So things kind of got off and rolling that way, but there are a couple of key tenets of 788. And one was that it has a residency rule in it. And that law is still in effect here today. And that is that any marijuana license in Oklahoma had to be 75% owned by an Oklahoma resident, and then 25% or less was allowed for out-of-state residents. And so that was there, but it was really a lot of gray area on exactly what defined ownership. And so that allowed for the next couple of years certain individuals in the state to set up what is now known as a straw ownership scheme. There were a couple of attorneys here in the state that were responsible for literally thousands of
you're cutting out
licenses issued. Now, one way that this would,
you're cutting out
when they see thousands of these. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, we got a big delay
anyway,
here.
There were a couple of organized groups, and then kind of word got out.
Yeah, we're getting some technical difficulties here, my friend. There's a delay here, and you're cutting in and out. I think what we'll do is let's get back to you after we go finish the completion of this live stream, and let's get you on maybe like Monday or Tuesday of next week, and make sure that we're good to go technology wise, because we're just running into a bunch of issues right now as far as hearing what you have to say, and it's breaking off. So let us follow up with you right after the show here today, and then we'll reschedule for early next week. Okay.
Okay. No. Okay.
Thanks, Jed.
Yep, thanks, Jed.
Apologies. That's how sometimes she rolls people. It's a really good story, and there's a lot more to talk about, but apologies for obviously that not working out the way we're hoping. Tech issues. Yes. You know what? We're already at the 50-minute mark of today's
big
live
tech
stream.
issues. Yeah, I mean, we went about 36 minutes with the Organigram folks.
Yeah, they were good.
I think we had that little 10-minute intermission on stuff, and then dove right into Jed in Oklahoma.
Everyone out there, you should see the last, the 3 or 4 minutes after the live stream's done, when me and Anthony have a recap. So I'm sure he'll have some interesting takes on some of the things I brought up. But
today's going to be today. We might need to record. Today we might need to record. Trump is now barking at China on tariffs. Thanks, Donald. Why don't you bark at the American people about cannabis rescheduling?
Yeah, I hear you. Again, we'll try to get Jed on next week. But again, I will say this is a very, very interesting conversation. Like, lawmakers were making millions of dollars, and I think 75% of the licenses were supposed to be held by residents in Oklahoma, and this was all going to Chinese cartels. And the amount of money that they were charging for each license was like triple the cost as what it normally does. And
triple,
wasn't it?
It was 27. It was 2,500 to get a license.
Oh, you're right.
They were selling them for 67. They were selling them for 67,500.
And then what was the connection he told us about the stuff that was actually being pushed out into the state of Texas as far as product?
There was enough cannabis grown in the state of Oklahoma that it dropped the price in Humboldt one year for a couple months. And then another time where there was so much cannabis that was grown and exported out of the state that it dropped the prices in Michigan, the entire market. It disrupted the Michigan market for like 4 months.
Yeah.
Back in 2020.
Right around COVID. He'd said that, but there was something more, and this is kind of segues into what we're
and he said Chip Paul is a real person. So I know that we've went back and forth with Chip Paul on Twitter. Yeah. I did ask him in pre-production if Chip Paul was legit and a real person, and he did say yes, indeed he is. Didn't validate him working directly with the administration or anything that there is regarding descheduling. But did say he was very real and he was very involved in one of the OGs in the Oklahoma market.
Wild. But one thing is for sure, they don't, you almost think that, what is their next stop? Is it Maine now? Because yes, they were.
I mean, if Steve Robinson, his interview with Sean Ryan, doesn't set a nuclear bomb off as it relates to synthetics and THCP and Maine and Oklahoma, towards the Trump administration, then I don't know what it's gonna do. I mean, that thing was borderline like fear mongering. Like, it was real. It was rooted in fact. Yeah. But it was a very like intense, fear driven episode. But it was based in merit and completely factually true.
I know, and that's the challenge in today's day and age, is when something is factually true, people question whether it is true or not. But
yeah, and I mean. Yeah.
Anyway, tough night for Philly fans. Man, oh man. I don't know if you saw that pitcher that threw that ball to home plate, and the Dodgers went on to eliminate them. And then don't look down.
I did watch the Flyers get beat last night, though.
Oh yeah, Flyers did get. Yeah, they got their butts kicked everywhere. What was the crowd like at the rink?
Decent amount of Philly fans.
I bet. Was it sold out?
Yeah, it was sold out.
Does it sell out every Panthers game now, being back-to-back champs?
Yeah.
So you said what?
We just got a sick. I was 4 rows from the glass, behind the net.
TDR should set up a special alert you can send out for when an announcement is made, and notice to tune into the lot. Well, put it this way.
Yeah, I'll tweet it out, Chris. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, and then once we do that, I'm telling you right now, we get an announcement, we will run to our computers and we will get everything whipped up in the back end. In fact, we already have a lot of that stuff already crafted together. So we just got to copy, paste, insert, and
just needs to happen.
And by the end of the day, let's not kid ourselves. If this gets an announcement, I know a lot of people that have been following this space. The number one thing they're probably going to do is hop on and just hear what we have to say. And more importantly, see all the guests that we'll have on, because we've already got confirmation, some big time guests. Like,
yeah, the champagne's on ice, but the ice is melted.
Yeah. Trying to get back, still waiting to hear back from Jesus. I don't know if he'll be able to make it, but hopefully he can, because that would be incredible. But Tyson, Weldon Angelos, Jason Wild, probably Brady Cobb, you name it. It's just, we got a lot of great people that we'll have on, and it'll just be a nice little celebration. But one can only fathom when that day comes. Quick reminder again, in case you're logging on real quick, we had Organigram on. They launched their new edible brand called Get Happy, or I should say it's called Happly. But if you want to get Happily, go to gethappily.com and type in the promo code TDR20 to get 20% off. And they're available in, I think, as much as 80% of the states across the country right now. So log on. If your state allows you to permit that and you're 21 and older, then fill out your order and it'll be delivered right to your doorstep. And again, you can get 20% off by entering in the promo code TDR20 here today. So hopefully you take advantage of that. There is our call to action. We skipped the Morgan & Morgan ad here today. So I got
didn't even think about that.
Well, Pot Daddy pays our bill.
It's got to happen in the first half, according to their team. So unless we want to continue to stream here for another 58 or 9 minutes, it ain't happening here today.
I mean, I know Chad and I could talk about playoff baseball for the next 6 months.
I'm hanging up my camera if we're talking about playoff baseball.
I'm kidding around.
Man, if your team's in it, though, I was ready to walk out of the 5th inning. It was pretty quiet. And then
Chad went to Game 4 to watch the Tigers.
I had to take a break. I was like, everybody's like, you know, I'm sure no one missed me on Wednesday. Anthony did a great job with Kirk Barry. Where am I?
Kirk Barry, you're correct.
Barry. Sorry. Kirk. Anyway, yeah.
I feel like we're just rambling now.
I had to clear my head. I was just like, all these rumors and stuff, and I don't know. Well,
I've got a quick mic drop if you want to fire up the music and play us into the weekend.
Let's do it. What are your thoughts on?
Do it live, Arns.
What are your thoughts on Jazz Carnes before you get into the drop?
No. Well, here we go.
Go ahead.
The DEA can't kill the illicit market Hydra by cutting off another one of its heads. You shrink the Hydra by unshackling a better legal market monster that outcompetes it for resources. So it has to win on price, quality, convenience, everything. Sure, go ahead, shut down the CCP grows, but remember, enforcement is just part of the solution, folks.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh, he's straight to the point here today.
Schedule 3 is the first step in the unshackling.
Agreed.
Massive tax burden off the table. I won't talk about the other catalysts and dominoes. We've gone through those a million times before. But the idea that you can enforce your way into killing the black market, or you can let a legal market and a hemp market compete with a one arm tied behind its back, you're not going to kill the illicit market that way. And so if Trump wants to do this and do this right, you got to kill the Hydra by building a bigger monster.
Well, I watched this cabinet meeting yesterday, and everybody's like, he's not going to mention anything, but there was something there. It was ripe for the taking when he started talking about lowering drug prices, and then at the same time, too, the amount of boats that are basically blown up in the Caribbean and how that quote unquote saves 25 to 50,000 American lives each time that happens. I thought, could he actually say something just small? Nothing there. And
honestly, you got to clean up the market before you unleash the better market. I mean, it's what they're doing is they're taking shots at the Hydra right now, and they're trying to unleash a better plan. That's what I would do. That's what when we talk about clearing the runway, there's always a higher priority, right? But it does appear, at least breadcrumbs here, that they are clearing the runway by taking some serious steps towards illicit and hemp market ties.
Predictions before Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Christmas?
Christmas 2026?
No, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Predictions.
Waiting's the hardest part.
Do I think it's going to happen before the end of the calendar year? What the fuck? What do I know? Yes, I do. I believe that. But what do I know?
Arns, cut it.
Anyways.
Peace, love, and woe.
Hey, everyone. Thanks again for watching here today. Listen, if you're getting value from us here at TDR, make sure to check us out at TDR Plus. It's our exclusive membership community. Why? Well, you'll see CEO interviews that go beyond business, showing a personal side that you won't find anywhere else, including the biggest names of the industry. Plus, you'll get insights from analysts and day traders on where the industry's headed, both short-term and long-term, and a direct chat group with our team. It's only $7 a month, just 25 cents a day, and it helps support everything we do here at TDR. If you want to join, just click the join button below and become a TDR Plus member today. And once again, a big thank you for being part of our community. So that's it for today. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.